Everybody ready? Come on, let's go.
The Rick Thorne Show! Let's go! The Rick Thorne Show! Let's go!
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Rick Thorne. Welcome to the show. I'm glad that you're here. How y'all doing? I got a really special guest this week. Good friend of mine, known him for a long time. Badass skater, artist, all around cool guy, Jeremy Wray. What is up? What are you doing?
How's it going? That's my first time hearing the intro theme song. Was that you and your band?
Yeah, I wrote that with my producer. We just wrote like an intro theme song.
It's rad.
Yeah, a little
I
thing.
love it.
Yeah.
It hypes it up.
DIY, bro.
Yeah.
You know all about that.
Absolutely. That was a good one.
You got to take things in your own hands.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. I haven't had to make my own theme music yet, but there will come a time.
Bro, I know people that can help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would your theme music be?
I don't know. It'd have to be something rock and roll.
No way!
Yeah.
Jeremy Wray! They could say like legend at the end. I hate the legend thing, Jeff.
Yeah.
You want to change it?
Say like soon to be legend. Because legend, I say this every episode. I just think it's funny.
You should be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows it. He knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Legend's like, it should be like one day might be legend.
Right. Yeah. It's tough when they start throwing around too soon because it's like, oh, you're not really doing it as much as anymore then or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. They're like, oh, he's a has-been. He's done.
Right.
Yeah. He's a legend, mate. It's like,
Uh-huh.
no, he's the dude.
Yeah. If you're still doing it heavy enough, you don't get legend yet.
Do you get legend?
Yeah.
You do? You still
do.
skate? You still skate though, don't you?
Yeah, we get out, a few times a week. It's usually me and Pat Chanita just going out to a local spot or a park. Yeah. So me and him still get out and we'll just pass the GoPro back and forth.
Sick.
Get a couple clips for the day,
That's dope.
And usually while the kids are in school because he's got a son too.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah,
How old's your kid? How old's your son?
I have a 13-year-old son and then my daughter's 10, but she'll be turning 11 on Thursday.
Congrats. So Pat's is the same age, roughly?
Yeah, I think Pat's son Parker is about the same age. I think he's right between Jackson and Jaden.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Pat Chanita, man. He's cool. He was always cool.
Yeah.
Man, it seemed like time flew by, dude. Those were the what was that, like the late 90s?
And you
Remember
see
the late
Pat at the
90s?
contests, right? Because were you guys still riding the same course when he'd skate, you would bike?
Yep.
Kind of stuff like that?
Yep.
Because he stayed in contests a lot longer than I did.
Yep.
Because he was actually just super consistent. And
Mm-hmm.
he had a good chance at, finishing in the money. So he would even, pay his own way, go in the contest, make that money, and just go home,
Yeah, those were the fun days, dude.
Yeah.
But I think it's still fun. I think it's just different. But things change. But remember those days? Remember the mid-90s?
It was fun just traveling with everyone and, going to the contest. I always tried to do my best, and I could get top 10, but I was never getting top 5.
Yeah, but you
'Cause
had
that
the
wasn't my
highest
thing,
ollies. You had the highest ollies.
Well, you'd have to wait for when best trick contest came around, then you could actually try something that takes, a few more tries, but it might be something that's never been done before.
Is that what your thing was more?
Well, that came around toward the end. It used to be just be all regular contests, 45-second runs, whatever, and then, whoever's best wins.
So wait, so you're saying even best trick in skating came around when?
Yeah, it started coming around toward the back end of when I was going to contests.
And when was that?
Probably later 90s, maybe
Later,
97, 98.
That sounds about right.
Like that. Then
Yeah,
they
because
started
up to that it
introducing
was full runs.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was all about the runs and, you're skating whatever wooden course. And
Crazy, think back.
yeah, I would never really skate wooden skate parks at all until we had to go to this contest course and just try to figure it out. And just it pops different than cement and just putting a line together that you can do it every time consistently. If you don't have that, you just got to make do and try to get your tricks in,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was harder just to string it all together and make it all first try and then do it consistently and then make your way into the semifinals, then the finals, and then bring out stuff they hadn't seen before. That wasn't what I was into.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
It's a lot
different.
of work. I always hated qualifying because it's
Yeah.
like, dude, we're here. You got to qualify the
And that's
day
when you
before.
have your most energy too. You're
Yeah.
fresh, your legs are good.
Yeah, dude, let's just run it through straight,
Right.
and then they drag it out the next day, and it's just
Right.
like, dude, let's just handle it. We used to go to contests at BMX because I don't know if this was like in skating or not. Let me know. But it used to be an overall award to where you would do BMX, what you would consider park, but we
Right.
called it street, but it was park,
Yeah.
and then vert. And so you had to compete all three classes to
Yeah.
get the overall title. That was like a big deal in BMX for quite a while, like maybe mid 80s to the end of the 80s. If you got the overall title, you were like, or no, even into the 90s actually. In the
They were
early
keeping
90s.
points for each thing.
But dude, and now to think like, dude, you would compete flatland, park, got to qualify, vert, you got to
Right.
qualify, flatland, you had to qualify. So you ride, dude, and I competed all of them.
I think it was back in maybe the Castle days they were doing that kind of stuff, or maybe even like NSA.
Oh, with
But, like,
Sonya.
They were doing like slalom contests and stuff, and if you wanted to compete and get that overall, you could do those ones. So we entered the slalom and get first or second on a regular street board, just like tic-tacking through the cones.
Oh, so they did. Oh, so they did that. So they did slalom, and then
early on, I remember having to do some of that because people said, "You want to get the points, you want to get the overall, just enter everything." So
Got it.
I still have a trophy, one of the trophy plaques for the longest ollie too, which is pretty cool to have.
How long was it?
I think it was like a 12-foot one, but
Wow.
they weren't really measuring by distance. They were just measuring who went the furthest.
Got it.
It wasn't like it said how far you went. But I think even at the 12-foot range, I was doing a frontside 180 over it.
Oh, wow.
And that was already longer than anyone had ollied. So I did the ollie first, then 180'd it, and then just kept going. And I just remember there wasn't even enough like run up. So it was on a curved path.
Right.
So I would just run from the grass and go straight at it and then get it from there.
That's crazy,
So-
dude. 12 feet's pretty far.
12's a decent size ollie. It's like almost like a regular street gap if you're going sidewalk to sidewalk.
Right.
It's usually between 9 and 12.
Got it.
Yeah.
People still ollie.
12's on the longer side, but yeah.
Yeah, but you always
Let's do it.
remember when I had the ESPN show?
Mhm.
Didn't we do something together? And you were trying to teach me like you did a 360. Well, I don't know all the
Right.
ollie 360.
Like a
360
frontside 360
ollie.
ollie.
Yeah, remember that? Do you
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
this? And I tried it on the board. I ate shit. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah, it's tricky to get it around.
No, dude, but everyone out
Yeah.
there, he does it like this high. Like you're
Right.
no joke, bro. Your ollie skills are insane.
Well, I learned those from watching Donger, Kien Liu, and he had the best frontside 360s, like, I don't know, even in the late 80s. Like, it seemed like he was in these 8th Street videos, and he could do one going full speed on flat ground and get it all the way around and land dead straight again. So there's no pivot, no bark of the wheels, no anything, and maintain the same amount of speed.
Do you think pivoting is a little bit not like cheating, but it's not the full?
Well, usually people go around like 270, land, and then
and
pivot the rest.
Yeah.
And somehow he already had this like pop steep and then dip the nose at the 180 and get it all the way around. And he whipped it around like super quick. And it's faster than I do them. Mine are a little more drawn out. So everyone has a slightly different style. But I remember he just mastered it early on. And before him, I had learned it from Ron Chapman in an old World Industries video. He would do a nose grab. So you'd go around and you'd grab the nose when the nose is up. And you just follow it around until you land.
Do you
So
think
I learned that way first?
Okay, so wait. So let me ask you this: do you think it makes sense here, in my head, to do the whole 360s better than the pivot because you could do it on more
absolutely.
stuff?
Yeah.
You could do it down bigger stuff and do it on
Right.
to stuff and off of stuff, right?
Yeah, because if you learn to get around on flat ground and you pivot the last bit, it's not even that bad. You could do it. But then if you start going off some stairs, you can't pivot because you're going to need to land straight to
'Cause you're
maintain
gonna
the
eat
speed
it.
and actually roll away.
Right.
But over a hip, you got it, 270, and you're good.
Yeah.
That's why more people can do them over a hip than just dead straight.
Right. Okay. So
But I'd say the majority of people do them backside rather than frontside anyway.
you
I
still
think it's
do them?
just more natural. Yeah, I still do them. Yeah.
I mean, like you do them pretty high.
Well, it helps if you have a little bump too, because then you can go faster and go really high.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
on flat ground, I still got them.
But you're known for your ollie skills, like,
Yeah.
and like most like a lot of things that you've done with skating. Well, your
Yeah.
tricks too. You've done like a lot of rad tricks.
I think that's one of the things we used to like about just going skating in the streets, just trying to ollie stuff. Whatever, like a fire hydrant as you're rolling down the sidewalk, even one you haven't seen before, just try to pop over it if you see it. And then, yeah, like come across the street gap, see if you can clear it, that kind of stuff. Just always finding challenges, and it was always ollie based, you know?
Let me ask you this, because in BMX, if I go to, and that's cool, if I go to like a bunny, we call it bunny hop, right?
Right.
Or a hop, we go hop up something.
Do you guys know how it got named that?
No, I don't. Well, when I was younger, this one kid's like, that's a mountain climber because you're pulling up the front wheel and you're popping up the back. But I was
Right.
like, that sounds kind of weird.
That is
Bunny hop
funny.
just kind of like people just said hop, and then I just always just
Like I
heard,
remember it being a bunny hop, and I think the bunny hop came before the ollie from my memory, right?
that's a good question.
I'm not sure because I know the
What
ollie
year?
came
What year was
from-
ollie?
Well, it was Alan Gelfin doing it in Florida. I don't know the year, but it had to be before like 1980. It was probably like the late 70s when he was doing it.
Probably around
That's
the
my
same-
guess.
Probably
you know?
around the same time. I mean,
Right.
who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could go either way. It could have been the same time. I don't know. Like, you know,
it's definitely right in that range though, because like
it is.
Early
That's a good
80s,
question though. I've never
like even in the movie Rad and stuff, they were doing bunny hops and backflips and stuff, right?
But that was mid 80s.
Yeah.
That was more like kind of like leaning towards like a 80, 85.
Right. But that wouldn't be the first time we'd ever heard of it. Like it was
No.
happening. You know?
We were already hopping.
And by the
then.
time Rad came out, it's already been happening for a while. So
Well, you kind of got to like know how to like bunny hop to do an air.
right.
In a
It
sense.
helps.
It helps because you kind of got to like
Then you can boost it.
You got to drop the front end and stuff like that. So
Right.
I actually learned how to do airs on a grass hill that
Nice.
looked like a. Because I grew up in the Midwest, so
Yeah.
I would just go around searching. You're doing street, but it wasn't. You know, it was called street, but like
Right. You're just out there
a
finding
hill.
what you can.
I learned
yeah.
how to do 180s on like a grass hill.
Nice.
Come off of it, yeah, because I was just trying to emulate what pipeline and all this stuff was.
Yeah.
But back to the bunny hop. So, asking for skating, do you go higher when you do an ollie when you're trying to go up on something, or just like I'm just gonna go? Like for me, if I try to hop up something,
Right.
I'm just gonna push me to get on top of that.
Right.
Is it the same with skating?
Yeah, and even if you have something to ollie over, you're gonna ollie higher because you have a point that you're looking at that you have to focus on and try to kick the back chuck at least over it high enough to clear it. So,
Yeah, it gives you that. It gives
yeah,
you that.
you can definitely go higher when you have something to aim for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same. Yeah.
I remember traveling with Mike Escamilla, and he always brought his bike when we'd go on these road trips.
Hey, shout out to Rooftop, the homie.
Yeah, Rooftop. So we were on one of our road trips, and we're at a hotel, and there was a grass hill like you're talking about, and he was doing bunny hops and tricks off this grass hill.
Yep.
So I got on his bike and tried to go. I figured I could bunny hop on it, you know. I go to lift up, and that bike weighed so much more than any bike I'd ever ridden in my life. It didn't even come off the ground. It like yanked my arms off. It was like, what the hell is this thing? You couldn't even get it up.
That's so
It was
funny.
like
dude.
he was riding a really like heavy frame at that point because he kept breaking frames a lot back then.
What year was that? I could tell you about what his bike weighed.
Probably 94.
Oh yeah, his bike probably weighed 40 pounds.
Yeah, because he
Nowadays, they're
kept
like
breaking those
25
frames,
pounds.
and he had them like extra strong, welded, like
Front and back brakes,
know,
big sprockets,
yeah,
big
thicker
big
metal.
chains. Everything was all of our bikes. Were
Yeah,
so,
his was built heavy duty, but I was so shocked that I couldn't lift it up off the ground.
Yeah, it's definitely those days. Those bikes were heavy, bro.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, but like think about how skating changed though. I mean, you probably got what was the first year you started skating? When you first got your first skateboard, you were like young, right?
1983.
So the boards changed, right?
Yeah.
Wheels changed.
But I actually had a BMX bike before that.
What'd you have?
So for Christmas one year, we wanted bikes like GTs and stuff, but of course we couldn't afford that. So we ended up with Columbia, which was like a
I've heard of it.
knockoff GT kind of thing.
Yep.
So all three of us, me and my two brothers, got these brand new bikes for Christmas. So we went and rode them down the hill, and right down the street from our house was a place called the Vans Track. And it was in the dirt hills in Glendale. And they had like a double jump that had a pit in the middle. And there was always like broken glass and cactuses and whatever else was dangerous you could throw in the hole.
Like,
and
don't
that was
land
the
in the
trick to
middle.
try to clear it.
Yeah.
Got to clear that. And we were just little kids that had no fear. And we'd just ride full speed and tabletop over that thing and had a blast doing that. But
Was that before skating or?
it was before skating. And
See, I
mixed
knew you were a
in-
BMXer at heart. I
Yeah.
knew it.
It was in
I
there
knew
right
it.
in with skating. So we had the skateboard and the bike and all that stuff. But biking was fun, and we go down there and do this. But every time I'd go there, I'd get poison oak because there was just poison oak all through those hills.
Oh, that sucks.
And at one point, I realized, it's coming from going up there and all the bushes around there. So I'd go up and try not to touch a single bush the whole way through, and I'd still come back and get it. It was like I was super allergic to it.
Probably just in the air, dude.
Yeah, I think it
used
was
to
in
be
the air, and
I used to
maybe
be
I
the
was
same
getting
way.
it airborne. So it was like I had to stop going there because the poison oak just got too bad.
Wait, let me get this straight. Poison oak ruined your BMX future.
Oh, absolutely.
Son of a
Yeah,
gun.
I would have kept going and doing
What if it would have
airs and
been
having a
poison
great time.
ivy? You would have made it.
Well, then on top of that, our bikes got stolen because my mom wouldn't let us keep them in the house or in the garage. So we were keeping them on the side of the house. And I guess, some teenagers came up with their truck, threw the bikes in the back, and they got 2 out of 3. The third one was still in our driveway. So we think someone must have walked up while they were doing it and told them to get out of there, and they left one. But we didn't know whose was left. So out of 3 of us, my brother Jazz, because he's the oldest, he got it.
Oh, wow.
So then we had our skateboards, though.
See, dude, you could have been a BMXer,
So we were
bro.
good.
You could have
Yeah.
been bunny hopping.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you're ollieing. Who came up with that word ollie? That's a cool story, though, by the way. I had no idea.
Yeah, I think the the ollie was Alan Gelfin's nickname. So I think that's where the name comes from. And he was a pool skater from Florida, and he was doing them out of like a rounded bowl that didn't have coping. It had like a rounded lip.
Right.
And he would go up and just whip it. And I think he was getting a little bit of tail, but it was a lot of like just swoop and scoop and getting it around. But he was getting higher than the edge and pretty much invented and perfected the trick. And then it kind of came from there. But from what I've heard, it was his nickname was Ollie. So that's why they call it the Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie's a cool name. I like Bunny.
And it was Rodney Mullen that adapted it to street.
Dude, he kills it. Dude, he's like a...
Once you can do it in a bowl, and Rodney was also from Florida, so I think he was early on knowing what was happening in the bowls and knowing about the Ollie. And then I guess he was doing a freestyle trick that had a similar motion where you'd go from the tail with the nose up on a freestyle board, and then you just transfer to the nose to do another trick. And it was kind of like ollieing without having that pause in the middle where you get everything in the air.
Uh-huh.
So it would just go from the nose to the tail. And then he figured out if you roll your foot a little and lift and just bring the back up, you can actually get everything in the air. So when he started learning figuring out
Rodney did that.
Yeah, Rodney figured this out. That you
to
could
drag
do
the foot forward.
On a freestyle board, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Ollie, don't you got to like drag the foot forward to flatten the board, right?
As the board's steep, you roll your foot and pull it up, and then as you push forward, it brings the tail up.
It brings the tail up, so then you're like, boom, yeah.
So pretty much the higher you can lift your foot, the higher you can get your ollie because you can level it out from there. So that's why like people that are a little bit on the taller side sometimes can ollie the highest, because if you're trying to get over something waist high, well, their waist is a little higher than someone else's. So
got it, yeah. Okay.
So it helps to have a little height on you.
So you're saying the dude that invented it, the ollie dude, he like did it kind of out of a transition.
Oh, it was always on a transition, and it was
always
like
since it was rounded,
almost like a frontside 180.
He wouldn't clip because he wouldn't clip because it was rounded like a roller.
Yeah, you just scoop it as you go up.
Yeah.
And whip it back in.
And then Rodney's like, yo, we could do this shit on the ground.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. No, he invented a lot of the stuff that everyone still does to this day.
Rodney Mullen, yeah.
Yeah. So, because he was the first, he was doing all his freestyle routines, and I guess there was a trick that was called the kickflip before the kickflip we know today. He would do the one where you stand like with your feet almost like heels together. One's on the side of the board, and one is like half of your shoe is underneath the board. And then you just lift it from the bottom and you flip it over and land back on it. That was the original kickflip. And we learned about that from John Lucero. He was the one that used to tell us, that's not a kickflip. This is a kickflip. And he'd show us and was like, that's not a kickflip. But I guess it was. He was right.
That was the original kickflip.
Yeah, the original kickflip was that. And it was a freestyle trick. And then the kickflip that everyone knows today is, you pop your tail, flip out the nose, and catch it with your feet.
So then he probably made up a lot of other tricks then too, Mullen, right? Like flip tricks.
I think he's probably made up more than anyone else as far as original tricks. So
that have been adapted to like street and stuff like that.
Yeah, because he laid down the groundwork of like a kick flip, a heel flip, 360 flip, all that stuff he was inventing on a freestyle board. And then, of course, as he graduated to street boards and tried to come skate street with all of us, he learned all of that and could still do everything and was still inventing tricks on the bigger boards too.
Wow.
So, and actually he was the one that was designing most of the boards through World Industries when the shapes went from like a big square tail and kind of a pinched nose.
Yep.
The noses got longer, so now you got a nose and a tail. But then all of a sudden the shapes started changing into like more of a popsicle shape.
Yep.
And they went from all of a sudden, now they're not 9.5 inches wide. They're getting down to like 7.5.
And that was so for the flips and this stuff would be easier to do.
Yeah, because the type of skating that he had created and the type of skating and the direction it was going, everyone was kind of following his lead with trying to flip the board and see what you can do with it.
So if the board was wider, it'd be harder to flip.
Yeah, and the wider board just gave you more weight.
You had to go higher.
It was clumsier. Yeah. And it was great for pools and vert, the big board, but like the little board, you could do a lot more tricks on it. So it came all the way down. Wheels got smaller. Boards got smaller. Everything got lighter.
Wheels got smaller too for flips, so you have more time.
Yeah, because
bigger wheels,
less weight. Anything you could do to shave the weight. The rails came off. You weren't riding rails anymore. And then all of a sudden, people are doing like double flips, triple flips. And I think it pretty maxed out. It maxed out at like quadruple flips.
Is that the max?
Yeah. I mean, people have done more, but that was like, that was enough.
Yeah.
After you've done that, then it all kind of came back. Okay, yes, you can do a double flip. Yes, you can do a triple flip. But if you do a kick flip, and pop it higher and catch it, that's probably your best bet.
Yeah,
You know?
that's something to comment on that I like what you just said, because I feel the same way. That I can relate to, like, because we ride a lot of similarities, a lot of stuff that we do is a lot of influence in skating and stuff.
Right.
It's like when BMX, you can bar spin, you can bar spin too, but when it gets to the point where you like bar spin them 4 times, it's like, what looks more solid? Like a triple toe whip to where you're like manhandling it and whipping around, or like one solid double that's just laying it out with this style.
Right.
You know, or like I'm torn between the two, because I like the expansion of like, or the growth of like, damn, you did 4 tail whips, but
yeah, it's fun to see it
the
get
single
pushed.
looks better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's weird, because don't forget about style.
Right.
So if you're doing all these kick flips, you're starting to lose a lot of style.
Right.
You know,
and
it's kind
there's
of
always going to
mechanical.
be the people that want to push it to see what's possible. So
Which is cool.
You definitely need those guys too.
Which is cool. Yeah.
You know, okay, 4's been done. Can we do 5? And then they find out a way to make it happen. Then, all right, 5's been done. Can we do 6?
Exactly.
All that stuff. And like, you do need that. But also, once it's been done, I mean, someone else can chase that, and everyone else can kind of go back to what looks good, what feels good. And it's more fun to do stuff that's comfortable than to just try something 200 times and make it once.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you're trying to be the first ever, mate. First ever.
Right.
You know, and
you got to put in the work to get that.
Yeah, which is cool to be the first ever, whatever.
Right.
That's your deal. But I've always been a big fan of style.
Right.
But also ability. You got to have a great balance in that. How would you feel
And a
about
lot of
that?
style comes just from being comfortable on bike or skateboard. You know, you can tell if someone is completely at ease and in their zone and doing what they're good at. You know? Or someone who's struggling and barely making everything, or hanging on like contest makes, you know?
Yeah.
Limbs hanging off, but they're rolling away.
Do you, let me ask you this. Do you find a lot of people, and I don't mean this since we're talking about style, I just had this thought. Do you find a lot of people in your sport ride and skate kind of generally the same? Or do you see like,
You know what?
or do you see people, because in my world.
I could ask you this. In
Okay.
biking, is there fake style?
What's that mean?
Well, in skateboarding,
What do you refer that to as?
in skateboarding, there's certain people that looked good on their board, and when they'd land a trick, because of the trick they were doing, they'd naturally have a twist in their body, and the arm would come across, you know? And like, you finish a trick, you're going to fakie, but you're, you know, coming out of something and your body twists, and it's just part of what you would naturally do.
Which
Well,
would be the
someone-
style, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
it's like the way your body naturally moves doing a certain trick, it might look good. Well, then other people said, that looks good. I'm going to try to do that after every trick I do. So they would land something that had no twist to it, and then just like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you see them start twisting their arm across their body. It's like, why did you do that? You know?
Oh, so they're,
they're
no, we
adding
don't
it
have
on
that.
at the end. And it's like, it's the weirdest thing, because people defend it like it's a good thing. Like, yeah, you should be able to do that. Like, why wouldn't you be able to? It looks good. But it's like, that's the opposite of style, when you're actually just trying to force something out of nowhere because you, in your head, think this is going to look good. And it's like,
Wild.
it's like a second part of the trick. Like, I don't know how long it takes them to make the trick in the first place, but the one they make, and then they have to do this at the end. It's like, that came out of nowhere. And it
we don't have that.
Yeah, it's negative points for me.
Well, yeah,
You know?
that's wild, dude. Do a lot of people do that?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Is it like a trend, do you think? They're like, kids see that and they think, oh, I got to do this extra little little motion to kind of give it some flavor?
Yes, and I don't know where it started. Like, I mean, it happened before Dylan Reeder, but I'd say it exploded because of him.
Is that what he did?
He had a
lot?
natural style where lots of things like that were happening and it looked good. People are trying to emulate his style and do what he was doing.
But he was doing it naturally.
Yeah, that's the way you land a trick. That's the way your body moves.
Oh, that's
And
what it
then,
is.
like,
They're the kids you think are trying to imitate.
But it's been happening since before that. Like, even like Henry Sanchez had a signature push. The way he would push, and his arm that was trailing would do like a circle. So then you'd see people trying to push and make their arm go in a circle because he looked good doing it. So they're going to try it.
And you're like,
And
dude,
it's
that's
like, why?
fake style.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's strange.
That is strange.
Well, skateboarding, you have more limbs that have nothing else to do, so you can kind of control them if you needed to.
Yeah.
So that's why in biking, I think you're kind of holding on and
Well,
doing
it's different
stuff,
in bikes.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. You have less to work with.
Well, with bikes, it's like, what I could relate that to is like a dude to do a big ass rail,
Right.
and then they kind of like knee knock their knees and elbows and kind of passively put their head down and ride away, like they're not like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? But my personality is like, dude, I just did a 20 stair. What?
That applies to skateboarding too.
Do you know what I mean? Because you got like this passive aggressive
when
looking
you
like,
land, are they looking like they fell asleep after?
kind of.
So
A little bit. Well, not
that's-
everybody, but it was a phase where
Yeah.
some people still do it to where it's like, I don't know if it's like a weird reaction of like they're afraid to be happy about what they just did, or
Right.
they're just trying
trying
to
to look nonchalant.
and nonchalant about it.
Right.
But it looks like why are you knocking your knees now and kind of turn it aside? Just be stoked on what you just did. Like
That's
sick.
funny.
Not over the top like Hulk Hogan, but you know
Right.
what I mean? Like
A little
just be like
enthusiasm or a little
sick,
emotion,
mate.
yeah.
You know, yeah, like woo.
Yeah.
You know,
And skateboarding
I always thought that was
mixed
weird.
in with the fake style and turning your arm was also either holding your pose, like completely freezing, like you land the trick and then you just freeze, and they're riding away like completely still. It's like that's kind of odd too, you know?
Of dudes would do that.
Yeah, they do that, and then a lot of them
Just
just
takes
put
away
their arms
from
to their
the-
side and just act like they fell asleep. Just
Yeah. And
head
it
down
takes,
and like it's just strange.
wait. So they'll do like, okay, sorry, I'm getting hyped here.
Yeah.
They'll do like the stairs in Hollywood High and land,
Right.
and it'd be like this.
Yeah,
What's going on?
all kinds of stuff like that, and it's
weird.
it's more now than it ever was because I think it just kind of spread, you know.
Are they trying to make it look like that was nothing? I could do that in my sleep. Is that what they're trying
It
to
could
do?
be because like you'd have people like Tom Penny who looked like he was putting no effort in. Just everything was super relaxed, super smooth. His arms would stay to his side, and like he just didn't have to try very hard. He was just naturally gifted. Now people try to emulate that, and they'll try to land something with the same way, like just with their head down, arms to their side, looking all relaxed. But you can tell that it's intentional.
So they're
you
putting
know?
more effort
Different.
in trying to get this stance of someone else.
Yeah.
For this credibility of like I'm like this guy when really it's fake. That's a
Yeah.
good term though, fake style. I've never heard of it like that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, we got the knee knockers.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that, but I know what you're saying. That would be funny.
I just did
And I
some
have
kind of-
seen that.
Yeah.
I know exactly what
you know
you're
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what's going on here? And then that's why in BMX for a while there, I was like a target because I was so hyper and hyped, and I'm
Right.
not changing who I am at all, but it did affect me for a minute. And
What, people didn't like the after trick celebration?
no, not so much that. They didn't
Oh.
like my personality because I was in a world of people that were like, kind of quiet knee knockers when they do big tricks. And I was the
Right.
dude that was loud. So
Right.
I said, I'd get him because and I would look at it
There's
like,
room for both.
you guys are too reserved. You're not,
Yeah.
you're not expressing yourself like you're
Right.
too afraid to. That's why you're doing this passive aggressive thing you just did.
Right.
You just did a kinked rail. Like, I mean, it's just weird. It would be weird to me. But I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm just saying, I just thought it was funny.
Well,
That's what I could
earlier
relate
in
that to.
skateboarding, there was a time like in those early 8th Street videos, people were doing tricks that had never been done before, or they're going bigger than anything's ever been done, doing the kinked rails, doing bigger gaps. And as soon as they would land, it was always all celebration, which
Yeah.
was kind of funny. And at the time, I don't know, I think it turned some people off, like that. No, I don't think that celebrating after the trick is necessary, especially.
I
if
mean,
it
over
wasn't
the
greatest
over the
thing.
top could be bad. You
Right.
could just be like,
And a lot
"Oh,
of these,
that
it was
sick."
like lots of the clips was always celebrations. And this was before everyone would come out and hug you too. It was just you by yourself raising your arm like, yes, I did that, And
you got to
there was a
find
lot
the
of that.
balance, bro. You got to find the
So
balance.
yeah, after that you'd see a lot less of it because there was so much of it in that video that everyone's like, no, you
People
can't
talking
celebrate.
shit like you're a
you
sucker
can't
if you do that.
celebrate.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you're like, that's awesome. But then the older kids are like, no, you can't celebrate your trick.
So in skating, did they come out and hug everybody?
Yeah, I haven't filmed clips like for a video part in the era where everyone comes out and hugs you. So most of mine I'm just riding away by myself. But it's really funny. Like anytime something halfway decent gets done on a skateboard these days, they leave the clip running so all the homies can come in and get a
BMX
group
is like
hug.
that big time. Yeah.
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 And I don't know exactly when that started either, but that was definitely after my era,
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it would never happen back then.
No.
It was way more reserved because it was after the celebrations that already been, put to pasture. No one's doing that anymore. Then it's a lot of our stuff. We were just kind of by ourselves. It was like us, a filmer and a photographer.
Sick.
You didn't have like 8 friends with you.
You just hear one dude in the background go, "You."
Yeah. Or actually, like you can't even ruin the clip. So like a lot of the
just shut the
filmers,
fuck up, yeah.
and you'll ruin the clip if you cheer too soon. You let it ride out in quiet silence, and then when you think the clip is cleared, then you celebrate.
Yeah.
And that's kind of changed too. I don't think there's like that kind of respect for it anymore.
We would do the celebrations have gone back since the beginning,
Yeah.
like in the early. But in my head, I've always thought like dudes celebrating are like, yeah, sick, but they're like, damn, I wish that was me. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, bro, sick. In their head, they're like, damn, I was working on that shit too, man. I'm going to act like I'm happy for this dude.
That's funny. They're still competing.
You know? I wonder, we talk about this because I competed in 9X games, being involved with the ESPN for so many years.
Right.
The ESPN and X Games ran its course. Not that it ran its course, but I think it had reached a point where it's like, how can we get people involved with this? Because everybody's hugging each other. Where's the competition aspect? I think people like the competition aspect from a viewer standpoint. They like I'm talking mainstream. They like the football game.
They want the Tony Hawk versus Christian Assoy.
Yeah.
That's the heroes and the villains.
And it's hard to market that in the mainstream when it's just like everyone's hugging each other and there's no competition factor.
Right.
And then you
Everyone's
see
all
UFC
smiles,
and they're all like killing each other and people are pulled to that, you know, or pulled to football or a contest. This team's better than this team. And I think we're still searching for that like element that it needs for that mainstream. That's my opinion. So
then it's gotten
quit hugging each other,
too.
everybody. Just make it hug after hours.
Right.
You know. I mean, after the contest.
When they were doing those pool contests at the Vans Combi Bowl, and people got mad at Salva for throwing his helmet and getting mad because he wasn't doing as good as he wanted to or something like that. And they really gave him hell for throwing his helmet and stuff.
Recently?
It was a couple years back when this happened, and it was like, it's skateboarding. There's going to be emotion, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're
emotion's
not
good.
feeling like you're doing your best or you feel like you could have done better and you're mad about it, that should be completely okay.
Yeah.
But they came down on him pretty hard for it. And it's like, I don't get that, you know? Where's the punk rock and skateboarding now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have emotion. I mean, I think like especially in an element to where, you know, I think it's a natural thing. I mean, we're doing rad stuff, and you're not living up to what you want to live up to. I think that you should be able to express yourself with that. But yeah, the hugging thing, and the whatever. I also remember maybe I've never done anything rad because no one's never hugged me after a trick.
It's
or I gave that vibe,
bike,
like, get back up.
You got too many spikes on.
Don't be hugging me, bro. Get out of here. This is BMX, bro.
Yeah, but I remember at one of those Vans Triple Crowns, Muska was trying to trick, and he wasn't making it. He's getting mad. He's like screaming, fuck, and like going back and trying it again. Well, one of the security guards got really mad because there were like families and kids around. Like, you can't say that. Like, what do you mean? Fuck? Like, of course I can say fuck. Like, you know? And he does it again, screams it again. The guy's like, that's it. And the guy went to go like manhandle him.
What, Muska?
Yeah, and it was like a hired security guard just doesn't like him getting emotional and yelling out when he's not making his trick and decided to go tackle him. So I remember Mike V stepped in and then it was on. Like there was just like
Mike V knocked him out.
Everyone's trying to make sure that this security guard doesn't get to Muska. I just remember people throwing their boards in front of the security guard who's running after him. He'd take one down. Like, I don't know. It was just a big old mess.
But I love it. What is up with that whole like security guard thing at these contests? I had the same issue. You can't come up here. I'm like, I got vert practice.
Right.
Here's my pass. Yeah, your pass doesn't let you up here. I'm like, bro, not to sound like an arrogant dick, but if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be having this job right now.
Right.
Like that's why you're here. Like,
right.
And they just get this, and they're like, you know, in high school they hired these dudes, and it's like it's weird.
Yeah, they take it a little too seriously, and they're there for a reason, but not that reason.
Yeah.
You know, you're not there to control the athletes and make them do what you want them to do. You're in no authority to do that.
Yeah, and you're probably not even a skater yourself.
Right.
You're probably You're probably that dude that gets mad that dudes are skating a ledge and wants to stand in front of it.
Right.
Do you ever get that when you're street skating?
Yeah.
That still happens.
Yeah.
I would think that at this point in life, people would just be like, they're just skating.
Yeah.
Do people still bug out a lot when they skate a spot?
Worse when we were younger, because then, you know, you can mess with little kids and there's no consequences really, you know?
Yeah.
But like at my age now when I'm out there, no one really bothers me, you know?
Yeah.
And if they do have a problem, we can talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
They come up and say something like, okay, well, and if we have to go somewhere else, that's fine too.
And I'm not talking about security guard. I'm talking about
this is like regular
a local
people
Joe.
on the street,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like, I mean, we've had times where we're skating like the Fullerton Underground at night, lights are on, and we're just skating back and forth in there. But yeah, it's loud and it echoes. We had a dad come across the street and he was just like, hey, like, I'm trying to get my daughter to sleep and this is really loud and distracting. Can you guys just take it somewhere else? I'm like, yeah, of course. That's no problem at all. But just know when we leave, there's probably going to be another group right behind us. So if you have to come back out, it's not us just sticking around and trying to make your life hell. So just,
Yeah.
we'll go, but, you might have to come back out again. So,
Yeah.
all right.
That sounds like a cool situation. I remember I've been
Yeah.
in so many situations where
They come out mad, but you can
Yeah.
diffuse it.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen some videos where people put their foot out where someone's skating. I'm like, what are you doing?
Ooh,
Like, what
I've
do
seen
you-
the ones lately where people were bombing hills full speed, and then a cop or security guard will just step out in front of
I
them.
saw that too.
And one of them got bodied into a sideways cop car. Because say like,
But
there's-
why would you
there's
even do
people
that? You're
bombing
coming
this
down
hill.
the
Well,
hill.
it's like they're doing an event where everyone's bombing a hill.
I saw the
then
same
the cops
video.
come in to try to stop it. So they put a cop car sideways, and they let like 3 people go by, and then like the 4th one, they just step in front of him, like singled one out and got him, and shoulder checked him into the car. And it was like, I think he was a dude that was just about to make it. Like he had already gotten sponsored, getting his stuff going, and then blows out his knee from a cop stepping in front of him like that, out of nowhere.
I didn't know he blew his knee.
He blew his knee
I
out
didn't know the
pretty good.
details. I just saw the video. Yeah.
And then I saw another one recently where it was a girl,
girl-
skating down the
a
hill,
girl,
and she hit
yep.
that guardrail.
She hit the guardrail
And
hard.
I didn't realize how much that security guard or whoever was in there played a role in that, because there was someone that stepped out on that one too.
Yeah,
I think because they had clipped it at some point and they didn't show how it happened. I just saw recently that there was someone that stepped out and made her have to figure out what to do from there. And she went into that guardrail.
Yeah, no, I saw the one where
That was
they stepped
nuts.
out. Yeah. And in my head, I'm just thinking like, don't you guys others go do something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anytime you're having fun, there's always
Right.
some asshole trying to say, "Oh, don't do this." It's like, dude, don't worry about me. I'm not doing anything wrong to you. What we would do to go to a spot, we would never ask, because our rule was asking. Everyone's always going to tell you no. No, you can't do that. You just play dumb, and then you end
Right.
up getting ready to ride it anyways. Because
At street spots where there's people, or like it's at a residence or something.
Yeah, or no, just like if we were riding like a spot and it had a security guard.
Right.
We wouldn't ask. We would just ride it and then wait for him to come over.
Yeah.
Not go, hey, can we ride here?
Right.
It's just like, I just don't understand people and their train of thought. We've always said that with bike riding. You're probably the same with skating. You're out having fun, and there's always someone that wants to rain on your parade because their life sucks.
Yeah. You'll run into those
That's the
types for
only
sure.
reason that guy would check that girl going downhill on her board,
Right.
or that guy is they're having fun and it's not them, and they're comparing it to
Well,
their
and
job.
they think they're right, which is even weirder,
Yeah.
They think that was the right thing to do. It's like, no, that's definitely, you're endangering someone else's life.
You just blew out the
More than
dude's
you know.
knee, bro. That's gnarly.
Yeah.
Knee surgeries suck.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know that kid?
No, I just heard the story. It was like, someone knew who he was and knew the backstory on it. They shared it with us.
So whack, dude.
Yeah.
It's like you would think at this point on how much mainstream media skating has,
Yeah.
that it would just be like a thing.
Yeah.
This dude's over there shooting basketball. Dude, get that ball. You know what I mean?
Well,
You
there's
just
also in
you see
skateboarding,
people
like-
playing basketball. You're like, they're playing basketball. You don't bother them. You
Yeah.
know?
Bombing hills is just dangerous.
It is.
really is, because you really reach this top speed where the only thing you can do to be safe is to stay on the board. Because if you try to step off, it's going way faster than you can run.
How fast do you think you're going?
I don't know. I mean, they're probably mid 40s at that point, and faster depending on the steepness of the hill.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Road rash, dude.
you're rarely going over like 50 or 60. I think
Yeah.
you feel like you're going really fast when you're going about 35.
Yeah.
And anything past that, it's like you just have to stay on.
Have you done that before?
Yeah. I think one of the fastest I've gone was when we went to Raging Waters when it was closed. Did you get to ride that when we did the water slides?
Oh, dude, you rode in a water slide on a board? You're going to haul way
Mhm.
faster than a bike.
I found that out because there was like the bigger one at Raging Waters that fits like 5 people on the raft or something.
Wait,
so
didn't
it's
somebody
wider.
buy that? Didn't someone buy that spot?
No, I think we got in there because we were filming for Built to Shred, and someone knew someone in the marketing department, and they were able to get us in there during the wintertime when it's all drained anyway. So it's already closed and drained, and I think just as part of promotion, they're like, yeah, come film something here.
Yeah.
And, they let us have a free-for-all in there and got to ride whatever we wanted. So on that thing, though, it like goes into this waterfall thing and then turns the corner, and it's like an oververt corner. And
It's slippery, too.
we were starting to try it. No one had really gone down the whole thing yet, I don't think. And people were just kind of baby step getting to know this thing. So I'm like, all right, I'll try it out. And I had brand new bone Swiss bearings in, and I go down the little first part. As soon as I turned that oververt corner,
Did you wash out?
no, I shot out of there going so fast that I couldn't step off or get out of it safely anymore. I'm like, I have to just stay on now.
Wow.
And then I got shot down the whole thing into the next corner. And each one, like, if you're going too fast, you can just fly out the top.
Yep.
So I tried to stay low and carve it, but when you do that, it gives even more speed into the next one. Well, at the end, you come out to like a drop off that's like maybe chest high into an uphill landing, and it's made out of like
water.
This, so it's like makes the pool at the bottom where the raft comes off, and then it has to get shallower so you can get out. So it's all dry, but it's really rough ground, and it's slick because it's made out of that like waterproof, epoxy material. It's painted with this coated with this slippery stuff. Well, I come out and I'm not dead straight coming out the thing. It's like half pipe shaped as you come off too. So as I'm taking that last turn, I come out and I'm like sideways coming off of it, and I have to land flat. So I tried my best to stay on it. From the drop, I probably went out a good like 12 feet before I hit the ground.
Wow.
And I landed on my board, but then it's like leaning and then it's all slick. So my board slips out, and I slid another like 15 to 20 feet just on my chest. Just like,
dude, gnarly.
fully slid. I got all scraped up and stuff. And it was like, man, it scared the shit out of me too, because it was the fastest I've ever gone on a skateboard.
Oh, dude,
It was nuts.
Yeah, you're going to haul ass down that.
So I had to like catch my breath and be like, okay, like I kind of want to conquer this anyway. So I had to just, gather my wits a little bit. And I went back up, and before the day was done, I went right back down and did it, and I got it successfully, And there was
awesome.
a few of us that made it that day. I think Omar Hassan was there. He made it. I think Rune Glifberg made it.
Awesome.
And then I got mine, and a few other people that were daring enough got it too. But it was super dangerous.
Yeah, you're hauling ass. I
Yeah.
mean, but that's what skating's about. You said something at the end. You want to conquer it.
Oh, yeah. You can't let it scare you. You have to just go back in and do it.
That's what the great thing about what we do is that going back, not the defeat.
Right.
Have you ever had something you were defeated? We all have, and you had to go back.
Yeah, I
mean, I have.
There's only a few that I didn't make that I really wanted to do. And
or even a trick you're learning.
Yeah.
But
there was one, like, there was a quadruple set at a school called Etowanda. And I had skated that thing and got the ollie down it, and then ollied over the rail there, and then got the idea to try to get a backside 180. And at the time, I don't think anything bigger than that had ever been backside 180. So
a triple set, huh? That's pretty big.
It's a quadruple set, so it's 4 sets of 3.
Wow.
It's like I think it was 3 flat, 3 flat, 3 flat, 3. So
you did. So what did you do over it?
I was trying to get a backside 180 down it, and I kept landing on it, square on it, but the landing was slightly downhill. So right when I'm rolling away and I try to like stand up, the thing would just start swirling out and get more speed, and I'd have to wash out. And then I tried it again and tried it again. I'd land on it every time. I never kicked any out, landed square over it, and it just kept washing out. And then I finally got one where I like slid out and got my hip pretty good. And it was like, I know that as I'm getting more tired, I'm going to land one of these, not have the strength to stand back up. And if it sticks or gets wheel bite, I'm going to go backwards and hit my head. So I'm trying not to do that. That's why I was leaning the other way and washing out.
So wait, wheel bite is when your wheels just stop.
Yeah, if you land hard and your wheel hits the board, and with enough force, it'll just stop the board instantly. And then you get pitched.
And then you get pitched, yeah.
So a wheel bite on a backside 180 usually ends up with you going backwards and hitting your head. Now, a lot of us learned how to let it go back, and you can keep your head tucked, and you can end up back on your feet without hitting your head.
Got it.
But the faster you go, the harder it is to control it.
Yeah.
And this one was about top speed.
Wow. I just came up with the
super
term in
tall.
my head for BMX. Would be a nut bite, because you do a toe whip and you if you slip and you come down or slip a pedal and you go behind the seat into the tire.
Oh, and then it
and you're
rolls
nuts.
you into the...
No, and it irks you.
Yeah, it rolls you into the little frame, right?
That would be the nut bite. You
Yeah.
go toe whip, slip pedal, and you go behind, and there's
Yeah.
the wheel. Oh,
Yeah, because
that's
it's
the
wedging
worst.
you into that little
Nut
like
bite.
U-shape. Yeah.
That's a nut bite. I'm claiming that right now.
Damn.
Nut bite, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit hurts, bro. Yeah. So
I
anyhow,
remember, when we were in high school, Mike Escamilla had these stories where he had broken his leg doing a backflip on a trampoline. Do you remember that day? Like he had broken both of the bones in his shin.
what year was that?
It was probably 90 or 91, something like that.
I hadn't met him yet.
Pretty early.
I didn't meet him. I didn't meet him till 92. I think it was at what is it? Moreno Valley Skate Park.
Oh yeah, I remember that
We
place.
came out for a contest, and then I helped him get on hopping bikes because he was his kid, and that's how he got his start.
Now, in those contests, were you guys on the course?
We're on the wood.
The wood course? Okay.
Yeah. That mini ramp and that mini ramp was pretty dope. Like, but it was all wood. Back then, they were all wood. You know?
Yeah, this day he was doing like the dirt jump contest, and he still wanted to ride the contest, but he had a broken leg. So he said, I think I can do it as long as I do my tricks, catch it with the pedals in the air, and then before I land, just take my leg off and land with everything else.
Oh, okay.
So he went and competed and still did good in that contest just by taking his leg off. He knew he couldn't bail either. Because if you bail in the air and you let go of the bike, you're really fucked because you're going to have to land on both legs, and he's got a broken leg. So,
did you guys ride a lot together?
Yeah, back then he would come out and roll with us. Yeah,
because you guys had
I
think you guys had a big influence, and he already had something in him for like his style, what he wanted. Because when Mike came out, he had his own style. The way he did so many unique things that nobody was doing in his style of riding, and I think he had a big influence from the skate world, in my opinion, because he hung with you guys a lot. And when the stuff he did, like let's take for instance, I want to bring up, what was it, 97, the fucking the water towers.
Yeah.
That's iconic with you too. And then he went back and did that on his bike.
Yeah. Once I got it on my skateboard, and he was filming for a part right after that.
Arnett.
Yeah. So he's filming for that video, and he wanted to do something good for that. And he's like, I could probably bunny hop it. So he went up and got it. And he said it wasn't as hard on a bike. It's scary, of course, because it's so tall.
Yeah.
But he was able to get the speed, and the faster you go, the smaller that thing gets as far as distance, you know?
Exactly.
But you have to bunny hop in time, because if your back tire drops out and you haven't lifted up yet,
and you clip,
you're going to case the other side.
And you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a sequence of a BMX dude trying to jump like something next to...
Oh, that's Robbo.
Yeah,
it was
there
a drainage,
was two walls,
drainage
ditch, and there's a bridge right there.
And he came up short.
And he went and cased it.
He
took
cased
like
his
the handlebar
sprocket.
to the neck,
Oh, yeah.
Ended up on his back in the water, and it was like, oh man, that's worst case scenario.
That's Robbie Morales. He owns Colt Bikes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's still around. He's still doing his thing. He's down in Orange County.
I just remember as a skateboarder seeing that, being like, man, that is worst case.
Dude, that's the worst case. That was a gnarly one, because he like basically sprocketed, aired a sprocket into the wall, and then just
And that was that thing, the tire dropped out before you got the lift on it. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
But
you do that on the water tower, you're not living through.
Where was that water tower at?
It's over in Roland Heights. It's over the hill from La Habra, where we went to school and grew up.
So that was like that. When you did that, were dudes just like in the industry, like, what's this guy doing? Were you already known in the industry?
I was, and I'd already done plenty of stuff, but that one kind of stuck with people because it's so unique to like the visual that you're getting and just the gnarliness of it and the consequences, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember I crossed paths with Mike Vallely in Vegas after that had happened. He was like, dude, we were just talking about you on the way out here. And he's like, we saw the water tower clip, and we're just like, what is skateboarding turning into? What is it going to be? Like, how can you do anything gnarlier than that? And like, are people just going to start dying now? You know, like it was a real conversation. It was like, yeah, I guess it's got to go somewhere, but maybe that's the limit. Who knows?
Yeah.
So,
but that's iconic though, dude. Has anyone ever gone back and done it? Or have you gone back and done it?
no other skateboarders have done anything over it. But what it turned into was a parkour spot where there were people that were doing parkour that knew it from skateboarding, and they would run and jump it. And then there was a guy who was doing parkour. His name was Nate Weston. Do you follow parkour at all?
No, I
Have you
don't.
seen any of that stuff?
No.
I never followed it or knew anything about it. So he was filming for a parkour video part, and he had done a flip over it.
Whoa.
And he sent me the clip through like a direct message on Instagram. He was just like, you know, thanks for the inspiration kind of thing. And there was a video. So video starts. I see the horizon. It's filmed from the same angle that Ty filmed mine. Ty Evans filmed my ollie from that angle up on the hill. So they got a similar one. And I see the tower. I see him running. And I'm like, he does a flip. And I was like, that kind of looked like the water towers. And like, did he really flip that? And then the video just disappeared. You view it once and it
oh, it was
disappears.
one of those ones. Okay.
So it was like, kind of left me thinking, like, did I really just see what I think I saw? Someone just ran and flipped the water towers, which is pretty nuts.
That's really nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in the end, they're saying that flipping it is less scary than running and jumping it. Because running and jumping it, you're looking at the edge the whole time, and the way you jump is different. When you do a flip, you jump
leap
head
forward.
first into it, and then you flip your feet over, and you actually get more distance out of a flip. So flipping it, even though it seems scarier, they said is probably easier and safer.
Oh, that's like BMX. Like you jump something to backflip, it's easy.
Right.
Than jumping it straight sometimes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get squirrely and do like we call it a sailor.
Right.
Where you're kind of stiff and your body's going one way and your bike's going another. You're like, it's a weird position.
Right. And depending on how steep that ramp is, I have a good backflip story of bike
Backflip, you just know like you're going to go straight and land straight.
Yep.
So you know like you can fill out a jump almost with a backflip better than jumping it straight.
Yep.
That sounds weird, but that's how we used to do it.
Well, I'll finish the water tower part, then I'll get back to that backflip story of Mike. But the water tower one, another parkour guy went there and filmed himself getting in, climbing up, doing the whole thing. Well, while he was climbing up one of the pipes, and he actually busted it. Like, the pipe got disconnected.
Oh, shit.
And then he just kind of wiggled it back into place, went up, and then he ran and jumped it or did a flip or did something. And then, but he put all of it up on Instagram. And the people from the water tower saw it and made him pay for that, like what he broke. And then now there's a rail on the top. So they put like a handrail, like a guardrail on one side. So now that's pretty much it for the spot, unless someone goes to the length of like actually removing the rail to hit it.
Hold on a second. Let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Fucking parkour dudes killed the spot.
I think so.
This is fucked up.
Yeah. I think there were enough of them going. And
this is fucked up.
There actually had been skateboarders.
Cooler on a skateboard,
back.
bro. I give you props for jumping. Whoever's listening to flip, that's cool. I would never do that shit. Right. It's cool on a skateboard, bro.
Well, when I did it on a skateboard, I also had to run and jump at first because the way the landing was and the way the wind was coming, I'd have to like skate it into the wind.
How big's the gap?
It's between like 15 and 16 feet.
I can't jump. You could jump 15 feet?
I had jumped another roof gap that was 15 feet exactly.
On your feet?
Just running and jumping it, yeah. And it's funny, that one ended up in an ad for Duke's shoes. It was a photo of me running and jumping it, and it was the photographer Daniel Harold Sturt that shot all those amazing black and white photos of everybody back in the days.
Right.
He shot the photo of me running and jumping it, and he actually bet me that I couldn't do it. And it was him and Rodney Mullen there that day, and they both said, all right, we're going to bet. And I think it was a couple $100 to run and jump this thing. And I'm like, I could do that. So I ran and jumped it. And while I was running and jumping it, he had his camera set up and he shot a photo of it. And then he actually had my brother Jonas throw a board into the frame while I'm running and jumping it. So it looks like it was a skateboard trick gone wrong because it's such a long distance.
Oh, shit.
And just like, it would make people confused. Like, what is going on here, you know?
Yeah.
So we did it and it ended up running as a Duke's ad. And we got a photo of me and him below it, like doing a handshake and holding the money up because I won the bet.
That's funny, dude.
So
that's crazy. One. Yeah, that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
So that spot's done.
Yeah, but I guess parkour guys had seen me run and jump it too.
Yeah,
so
I get it.
I inspired them just by even doing that.
Everybody's looking for spots, bro. No matter what it is.
But going back to the backflip, I remember Mike Escamilla he'd set up this thing where he wanted to do a backflip over a helicopter. Yep. Were you around for those days?
Dude, I'll tell you a story about this. Yeah. MTV had called me and said, hey, we want you to do a stunt. We want you to backflip over a helicopter.
Oh, they wanted you to do it.
And I said, I ain't doing that shit.
Yeah.
I said, I ain't jumping. Because I was never good. My deal is I was never good at distance jumping.
Yeah.
Ever. It wasn't my cup of tea. I was more a vert guy, more like what I was into. So I said,
I wonder how that got started then.
I said I didn't want to do it. This guy, he was in charge at the time. I forgot his name. He called me and said, would you be into doing this? I said, no. Right. I said, you should get Escamilla.
No
Mike,
way.
And I told Mike that like maybe a couple years ago, and he never heard that story.
I never heard that either.
He thought I was bullshitting. Well, I never told anybody, and I never even told him. Like, I didn't want to do it. Yeah. And so he ended up backflipping the helicopter, which is
right.
Like,
I was there when he did it.
That was his thing, man. I was like, yeah, it's badass.
He was looking for a place to do it, and I guess they were all set up to do it somewhere else, and then they figured out what they were actually trying to accomplish, and they're like, no way can you do that here. The liability alone is like just insane.
Yeah,
so they ended up doing it at Cal State Fullerton right by our house.
Cool.
And they had like, the runway going down between the bleachers, like, and then a ski jump at the bottom.
Yep.
Parked the helicopter in there and then had a landing ramp. Well, he was trying to straight jump it first just to see the distance between and
get all sailory and weird.
And it's so steep when you go up, and then you try to get it flat, and then you try to come down, and he kept almost coming up. It's hard to get in front of it and hard to get it steep enough to land. Yeah.
That's why you get all weird on the takeoff. You're like,
I don't think he had even made the straight jump clean. And he's like, I think it's just easier to backflip this thing. So he went straight for the backflip, and he got the backflip, I think, first try. And I think he even did it a couple times because they did it once without the blades going. And then they're like, all right, we're going to fire it up. And they let them do it once with the blades going.
Yep.
So
yeah, because when you shoot forward with the flip, it's like kind of almost like a front flip. You can actually travel distance more. I don't do front flips on a bike, but I've done them in the foam. But you could travel real far on a front flip if you want.
Right, because you follow your head over, and the bike comes over that, and you're getting that distance.
But it's a different pop, though. Some people don't travel much distance at all. They could go up and just pop it forward, and like they're not traveling far. It's just a matter of how your takeoff is.
Right.
But yeah, at that time with MTV, I was working with them a lot. I was hosting like their sports and music festival, and they didn't really. This was new. I mean, we're talking like in the late '90s, whatever. And so they didn't really know a whole lot of people. They were getting to know people. So they had approached me for that.
That's crazy. I thought that was 100% his original idea because I had heard him talking about it for a while.
Oh,
and
shit.
He's trying to find a place to do it. But that's crazy.
Now you're like, dude, fuck Mike.
No, that's crazy that it was even pitched to anyone else. So maybe they pitched it to him, and he was like,
or maybe he pitched it to them, and then they're like, yeah, let's see if Rick can do it. No,
maybe I don't know, but I'll have to ask him, see what he knows, because I've never heard any of that. But that's awesome.
Yeah, and that was like, what was the guy's name? I'm trying to think of it, because he worked at Airwalk, and then he went over to MTV, and that's kind of how like when the networks first came in, they picked a few people from the industry to kind of help the guide.
Did you ride for Airwalk back in the days?
I did.
I did too. I skated for Airwalk in like the early 90s.
I did 93, 94, 95.
Yeah, and I think I was like 90, 91, 92.
Okay.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Airwalk was banging at the time.
Yeah.
Listen, we got like about 5-10 more minutes on this, and I just wanted to tell you, I know good ones by fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you got a lot of cool stories. I want to talk about, like, real quick, the different things that you do besides skating. You do a lot of art. You do a lot of sculptures. You do a lot of paintings. You do a lot of like, everything. And you brought some stuff in. And just, can you tell me, like, so people out there know or get an idea, like, skating I've always admired because of the artistic side.
Right.
You know, and the fact that, like, you have, like, a board that's almost like a canvas. With BMX, you can't really get graphics like that because they're tubing.
Yeah, not as much.
No, it doesn't pop. Maybe on a seat.
More like logo based or something.
But there's no, it doesn't pop because the tubing's so small. So skating, I've always looked at skating as like, it's like a canvas, right?
Absolutely.
So have you always drawn and painted and stuff like that, been an artist as well along the way with skating, or did you get into that after you started skating?
I'd been doing art since way before skateboarding. I think there were some artists in the family, like, my mom and my aunt were both, really artistic, but also like we had our uncle Mort Walker who came up with the Beetle Bailey characters.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he invented Beetle Bailey.
Oh, no way. Oh,
I guess it was something he was doing in college, and it was called Spider Bailey originally. It was about a college kid. And then when he went into the Army, he switched it to Beetle Bailey and had it be an Army-type character.
Those comics blew up.
Oh, super rad. He was in like the Sunday morning comics, like all the time.
Yeah, it's like huge.
Yeah, so that was like probably the most famous person in our family. It was for his artwork.
Was that inspiring to you though? Be like,
oh yeah, we got to meet him and hang out with him. He would draw us little characters and stuff, and I would always draw and try to make my own characters and little comic strip stuff. But turns out just I liked a different type of art. I still like doing cartoony drawings and things like that, but like I ended up getting pushed more fine art, just exploring different mediums and trying different stuff. And,
right.
I think my mom had kept me away from art school in the beginning just so I could explore and experiment without too many rules. And then later on, I think in high school, I got to go to an after-school program at the Art Center in Pasadena. And I just studied some illustration over there and did all their projects and stuff. And I got a scholarship to go do that. So everything was paid for. And
sick.
They gave me like a card that was good for credit at the art store so I could get whatever supplies I needed.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was cool. And I always planned on going to Art Center for college later. But just when skateboarding took off and I ended up traveling with them, and I just put college on the back burner. I didn't go to college till a lot later. And when I did, I ended up going to Fullerton College because they had a good art program over there. And I had done like the drawing and painting classes, and they offer like drawing 1, 2, 3, painting 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So I would just take them all, just back to back. I did them all, and then there was like expressive drawing. There was printmaking. There was like all these just visual arts things, and I even did photography. I did black and white photography, did color slide photography, and while I was doing the art stuff and doing all the drawings and paintings, one of the teachers over there was like, saw that I had something as far as, representing like life drawing, and the way I was able to put it on a 2D format. They're like, okay, we have a challenge for you. You got to go over to the 3D part and see what you can do in sculpture. Because a lot of people can do this part, but if you can do that, you might really have something. So I went over and did bronze sculpture. And the original sculpture class was just beginning sculpture. And the first project was to do your portrait in clay, life size. So I was like, okay, take this lump of clay and just try to make your head. It's like, ooh, okay. And they give you that project right up front just to separate the men from the boys kind of thing. Like, see who has some skill and who's like kind of hopeless.
Still have that? Do you still have that sculpture?
Yeah, I ended up keeping that one. It's on my bookcase at home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But
so you pulled it off, basically.
Yeah, no, that one went really well, and it was the only time I've ever done that. And from the clay, then I got to do like these wax figures that you carve them in brown wax, get them set, and you turn them into bronze sculptures. So I was doing like little skate figurines and stuff, just trying to figure out something I could make, something I was interested in. So I did a few skate figures. I did like a hula dancer, and I did a poker trophy for our poker crew that we used to play with. Okay. So we had like it was like a girl holding a poker chip over her head, sitting on a stack of poker chips. And then that's on top of a wooden base that I had one of my friends make for me. And we put a nameplate on the front.
Awesome.
And then we pass that around like the Stanley Cup. Like if you win it, you get your name engraved on the base. Oh, so
you still do.
So we've been doing it. The last person to win was my brother Jonas. And we haven't played since he passed away. We're trying to figure out if we're going to keep that going, keep the same trophy. I made 2 of them just in case one of them like went missing.
Or keep that one there and just start with the new trophy.
So we could start up the new one or just keep it rolling. So
yeah,
I think, I'd rather just keep it rolling, get the next name on there, and we'll just keep that same one going.
Oh, that's cool, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then art before skating, did skating help with the art? Did art help with the skating? Because it's always been kind of.
Well, since I was doing my own art all through high school and stuff too, one of the projects in high school, I did a tribute to Dr. Seuss when he passed away. So I drew all of his characters like hanging out around his grave, paying their respects. Cat in the Hat has his hat off, and they're looking kind of sad, but they're there paying their respects. And I did a characterized version in his style of his face, so a portrait of him in his style. And it was just a high school art project. So when that was done, I had just turned pro for Blockhead skateboards.
That's what I was gonna say.
They wanted a graphic, and I was like, "Well."
And you were in high school still when you turned pro.
Yeah, so I was still in high school, and they were okay with me using a Dr. Seuss tribute as my first graphic because I liked Dr. Seuss stuff, and there'd been a few Dr. Seuss type graphics that had been done around that time. I think like Jason Lee had a board that had the guy like hiding his face and it had the Cat in the Hat. Right. And I was into Jason Lee, and I had one of those boards, and Cat in the Hat was cool, and I liked, Theodore Geisel's art. I liked all the stuff. That's Dr. Seuss. So all of his books and things and all of his characters were super cool. So I would just end up drawing a lot of those guys too.
Awesome.
So that ended up being my first board graphic was from that drawing that I did that was more like rectangular or squared off. We had to make a copy of it at Kinko's back in the days, cut out the figures, place them all tall and skinny to make it like board shaped.
Oh, wow.
And then that was my first board graphic.
Dude, how sick is that, though? Your first board graphic is your own artwork.
Right. I mean, that was cool. It was a good opportunity. And
that's fucking awesome.
At that time, slick bottoms were in. I don't know if you remember slick bottom boards. They had like a layer of plastic on the bottom.
Okay.
And the graphic was actually sublimated into it. So they would take almost like a heat transfer thing, put it against the plastic, run it through a machine, it would heat up, and all the colors would like sink into it.
Oh, cool.
And then the graphics lasted longer that way because you could scratch and it wouldn't scratch the graphic off. It wasn't like paint,
It's like a coating, basically.
Yeah, so it was interesting. And slick bottoms didn't last too long because they were kind of heavy, and they made the board a little bit like softer.
Because it was
Yeah, they had to heat it up to apply it, and just
Did you ride for them?
Yeah. I was riding for Blockhead at the time, so.
Wait, so but that company made the boards for Blockhead, is what you're saying?
Well, at that time in the early '90s, slick bottoms were a thing. So like all the different companies were doing their slick bottoms. Got it. Plan B, World Industries, Santa Cruz.
Slick bottom wasn't a board company; it was just something you did.
Slick bottom was a type of material they put on the bottom of the board.
Got it.
Before that, it was just wood and paint.
Got it.
So then they started adding this plastic layer, and it was basically like an everlasting graphic, and it slid like rails without having to use rails.
Got it.
So it kind of did a few things that were good, but it just didn't end up working out because then your tail's actually hitting on plastic instead of wood now, and it made it a little soggier. Just felt different.
Got it. Yeah.
So it didn't last. It was like one of those fads that came and went. But first one was slick bottom.
That's cool.
And then I had a wood board after that. So.
Dude, that's pretty rad though, to think that like your first, you're in high school and, your first graphic, that's pretty sick. You brought some stuff in with you. Because I want people to know, because I saw that you started something where, what is it called? It's an Instagram for skateboarding art. What is it called?
Oh, I had the Skate Art Connection.
Is that
doing that? I put that to bed a little bit ago. It's still,
you did?
it's just on hold.
Okay.
Because I was doing a featured artist every week, and just they'd all be skate related, and they would send me whatever they wanted to feature, and then we'd throw links to their pages so people could learn about them, find out about them. I'd show all the stuff that they had done, and then anything they wanted to promote, we'd do it.
Or
if
people want
to do
commissions or want something done, right?
Yeah, we're gonna highlight these artists, and no one was really doing it at the time. So, and still no one's doing it. But I got busier with family life, and I think it was around the time when my brother passed away too. I got too busy where I couldn't maintain this as a weekly featured thing.
Yeah,
so,
life. Yeah.
I just put it on pause. And I could definitely come back to it, and I probably should come back to it, but it might, re-evolve in another form.
Yeah, that's
at some
cool.
time or another. But the page is still there, so you can definitely go on Skate Art Connection on Instagram and find rad features on artists that you might not have heard of, or ones that and you haven't seen this side of their stuff. So
oh, cool.
It's cool.
You do a lot of commissions?
Like people hit me up to do stuff for them. Yeah, actually, one of those things.
Let me see some of the stuff you got.
So you can flip through these things. So that one was
you got my camera.
ended up being a drink series that I did for Enjoy while they were still around, and
sick.
It was Lou Barletta was running the show at the time. My friend Roger Bagley recommended, like, hey, why don't you guys use Jeremy Wray for a series? So I hit him up with
both of these, this whole series is that?
I did a whole series of drinks. I just drew every different type of drink I could think of that people would want to represent on their board, and I let all the writers pick whatever their favorite drink was, and then I had
sick.
Yeah, just one of every type, and it kind of fit everyone's style.
I like this one.
There was one for everybody.
Yeah, that would be.
And then, to my surprise, no one picked the 40 ounce, which is this one.
Nobody did.
Nobody did.
As you said, this is probably my favorite one.
They let me use it as a guest board in the series.
Nobody picked the 40 OG. Come on.
And I had just turned 40, and I had one of those, like the OG 40s, the oldie.
Yeah.
So I had an oldie glass bottle 40, and I drank it for my 40th birthday. I ended up drawing it for that, and then ended up having it in the series, and that was my guest model on them. So after the boards came and went, people were still interested in getting one. They couldn't find them anymore. So I'll just make some prints for everybody. So I made them,
cool.
8x10, so they're easy. And
they're easy to sign, too.
Yeah, they're easy to sign. I just hand sign them, and you can get the whole collection over at raybros.com if anybody's interested in that kind of thing.
Yeah, real quick, let's Ray Bros. That's
raybros.com, but it's W-R-A-Y, our last name.
It's on his hat, by the way.
Raybros.com. And that's where you find all of, the art and skateboarding mixed. So I got all the new decks on there, and I got some of my artwork. So we can see some of these decks.
And skateboarding changed a lot to where you could just produce your own decks. You don't have to have a skate company, right?
Well,
you could do your own decks and sell them. You don't have to have in other words, you started a skate brand, but let's say I see some skaters, they don't necessarily have.
Oh, you can definitely make custom ones now. There's places that'll do it for you, and it's pretty affordable.
Yeah,
so if you've always wanted to see your own artwork on a board or make your own stuff, you can.
Yeah.
So me and my brother Jonas had started Ray Bros just because both of us had an opportunity to ride for the same brand now and do what we wanted. So we
and you're an artist, so you got all the artwork.
I was in charge of logos and graphics, and we do all that stuff together. This one was a mix that I did with Frankie Hill, the legendary skateboarder that did the huge gap in the Powell video. At the time, it was one of the biggest gaps ever done. He was a madman. So his original graphic was the Bulldog. So I wanted to mix his Bulldog with the Umbrella Girl that was my second board on Blockhead. And so I put those together and just did a full graphic nose to tail. I hand drew that one and got it all ready. And they screened it for us over at Screaming Squeegees, which is
this is the front side of it.
One of the few that still does, some good hand-drawn or some good hand-screened.
You said you still do stuff I saw online that you do, it depends on what the project is, but you do a lot of lettering still by hand.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I prefer hand-drawn lettering to fonts any day.
Yeah.
The computer font just has a lot less life to it.
Yeah.
And there's something you can do by hand that just you can't fake. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, exactly. It gives it more depth, right?
Right.
And more personality, I think.
So that one was with Frankie Hill, and then because of the way that one went, and I incorporated the umbrella in it, I made this one. This is the umbrella collection. I'm gonna start doing
Markovich.
more of these. So me and Markovich, that was one of Markovich's early 101 board graphics, and I mixed it with my umbrella girl. So now you get that graphic out of it, and it's got our names up top, and that's the umbrella collection. So we, hand sign and number.
Oh, so then you got so
I came
that's
up
the
with that.
umbrella collection.
So that's the number 2, and number 3 is coming out this year. And
you only made 100 of these, huh?
Yeah, and I'll just keep picking another one of my skate influences and pick one of their graphics that's one of their favorites, and we'll just mash them together and make a limited run. And
so you picked this size board to be more for like...
That was based on his 101 graphic when it came out, probably in like 91 or 90, I think around 91.
So you got the board to go with that era, right?
I did an updated version of his shape. And the same thing with this Frankie Hill. This is an updated version, like a modern version of his
older shape.
Original Powell shape. It has like the little wiggles down the side and a square tail and this boxed out nose. And then that one was like maybe a year later that one came out, so it was a little more rounded.
Side note real quick, while we're here. Why was the boards like this back in the day curved like that?
I think the concave is to add stability, because when you land, if the board's flat, it'll crack a lot easier. So the more you can bend it, it'll actually give it, some rigidity.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
you're using words out of my vocabulary, bro.
I'm guessing. Yeah. But yeah, it just makes it stiffer and makes it less likely to break. But then these are the latest ones.
And so those ones, these are all available at Ray Bros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're on the tail end of these.
Chanita.
There's only a few left, but these are the new ones that just came out. Yeah, I did that graphic for Pat Chanita. He used to use penguins as a theme when he was riding for Powell and stuff. So we tried to do a throwback to some of like what he's associated with. So I made that version of that little penguin that everyone knows.
And this is hand-drawn.
Yeah, and I hand drew everything for that.
All of it?
Yeah. So I drew that graphic for him just based on what he wanted.
See, man, I like hand-drawn because you said something earlier about, like, your mom let you do art before you had all the rules and stuff.
Right.
And I meet, with my band and stuff, and, like, I actually started drawing 5-6 years ago. I just draw a bunch of skulls, and I've learned to just try to teach myself. And like, I'm really into skulls and words, and like, I did like this stay right here. I like fonts. I like doing stuff. But then it's like some people do artwork that I work with in the past, and I just felt like they're just positioning logos. Like,
there's a lot of that graphic design.
Yeah, they're just like drag and drop and go there, and it doesn't have any depth to it.
Right.
And you could tell when you grab something. That's why I said, "Oh, you hand drew it," because you could feel it that it's.
Yeah, there's a lot of people making a living doing creative
jobs.
I don't
know
aren't
if you're
all that creative anymore.
I don't know if you're an artist if you do that. Are you? Are you considered an artist if you do that? Like an actual artist?
I mean,
you're an art to it, but like
there's an aspect of art to it, but it's not the traditional like hand drawn stuff, or like it takes less creativity to pull something from the internet and then pull something else from the internet,
AI,
type in a font and then put it all together. I mean, yeah, you can make something that's really successful doing that, but like you said, it might not have the same feel or heart to it.
Oh, dude, I got a new song coming out with this band, right? I just guest vocals, and they're like, "Yeah, we could do artwork." I do a lot of stuff with AI. I was like, "No. We're gonna have somebody draw something,
right?
Because we're gonna make it cool. This is punk rock. We're not an AI thing." You know what I mean?
Yeah, whenever my friends are starting up a new business or something and they need a logo, they usually hit me up and I'll just hook them up like with, whatever they need to get started.
That's cool.
And then this is a throwback to one of my boards that came out back when we were filming for Secondhand Smoke.
Oh, this was a while ago then.
Yeah, so this one's probably from 94 when it came out originally.
Oh, wow.
So, and it hasn't been out since then. So I found the original artwork and put it all back together so we can actually ride them again. It's been fun just stepping back onto a board that's so familiar.
And you did this artwork too?
Yeah, that was like with one of those chisel tip Sharpies, the little wide ones.
And you did this font too?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yep. So I had a lot of fun just, usually if you change your pen that you're using, you get a different look. So when I found these chisel tip Sharpies, it kind of became a signature of my style. And that's, even these prints were all done with that like chisel tip look, kind of threw back to that style.
Yeah.
So they're just fun, Yeah.
It
gives you a bold line that stands out, and it makes it simpler.
Dude, you're like all the elements of skating pro, tricks, spots, style, artwork, start your own company, you film, photography, all of it. You're like the skater that I like. am as a bike rider in a sense.
Right.
You're like more like art, drawing and stuff. But I'm just saying like you layered yourself to where you're like all of it. Do you know what I mean?
I enjoy all of it.
You're that era of skater that I don't know if it was around still.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
like,
I learned
like
from
your,
the guys that came before me would be like Nadas Kappas and Mark Gonzalez. They were both artists and skateboarders, and just, I learned from watching them, and obviously just tried to follow in their footsteps.
Yeah.
And like Lance Mountain's another one. He always liked doing his own boards. Like I did all of my own graphics, starting with Blockhead, then all through when I rode for Color Skateboards. That's not around anymore. Did all my boards for them. And then when I got through Plan B, I did a lot of my boards for Plan B, and 1 or 2, they had like series graphics came out where everyone had to have the same board with their name on it and it all looked similar. So I only had like 2 that I didn't do my own artwork because they were series graphics for Plan B.
Got it.
And then when I got picked up by Element, that's when series graphics were like the thing. So I kind of didn't have a chance to do my own boards for them for a few years. And then toward the end, they let me do a few more. So I was able to do mine. But even when they were trying to do the series boards, if they were having an issue with whatever character I had in the series, I would usually just do the artwork myself and make it look like the other person's art too.
Got it.
So like I can help them along.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, a lot of it was like you're saying, graphic design. It was like a typed out font and then the Element logo and then a split colors on the board, and that was the whole graphic.
Yeah.
It had very little life to it.
Yeah,
but
you got to have
they
life
sold
to
really well because they were like, I don't know, more widely accepted. Like you didn't have to have a certain style to like that.
Yeah.
If it was visually pleasing, then like, you.
Or it was just a style at the time. Yeah. But I just think some artwork is just like, it's not artwork. It is, but it's not. It's just like, it's like, oh, what font do you like? Let me go to defont.com and pick a font and drag it over here, and then I'll position it sidewards and, and then let me get, just, I understand that's what people do. I don't like it as much.
Right.
I don't have to like it. It doesn't appeal to me. But I'm an old school dude, you know?
And it doesn't have to be like that, but you got to find someone who actually still does it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just what, Well, where can people get your boards? RayBros.com?
Yeah, everything is raybros.com. And then if you were looking for me on Instagram, it's Jeremy_WRAY. So Jeremy Wray. And you'll find me there.
And everything that you're doing.
Yep.
And you do, and like anyone out there, dude, we could talk forever. Like I get so much story, so much history. And you rode for so many rad skate companies. Plan B, Element. What were some other ones real quick?
Well, it started with Blockhead Skateboards, was my first board sponsor.
Yep.
And then it was Color Skateboards, which was Markovich and Mark Oblo put us all together to make Color. And Color was cool because it was like an alternative to the world companies at the time. There wasn't really anything that was like even close to what they were doing. And we were a good alternative to that. And
You're talking about Chris Markovich.
Yeah, Chris Markovich.
You still talk to him?
Yeah. He's still ripping.
I know. I haven't seen. I follow him on the gram. It pops up in the algorithm every now and then.
He's living out in Florida now, and there's a couple parks near him that he just skates frequently, and he is ripping.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I haven't seen him for a while.
And he does a lot of artwork too. So he's got his stuff up, and he's constantly doing artwork, murals, and all kinds of stuff. So if you just follow him, you'll see some pretty cool stuff.
Awesome. So you went from Blockhead to, what was it called? Color?
Color. And then when Color disbanded, it was like a band breaking up. Everyone kind of just went their separate ways, and we all had to find something new to do. But they were able to pull most of the Color guys back together and start a company called Prime through World Industries.
Okay.
But I ended up getting transferred over and joining the Plan B guys. Plan B at the time was one of the best companies with the best riders. They had
Those
the
were
best
the golden
videos.
years for Plan B,
It was
right?
like Plan B was the top of the top, and if I ever had a chance to ride for those guys, I knew that's where I wanted to be, and I thought that they would be around forever. They were the best company in the world. So, and I wanted to be with those guys and film the best video parts and stuff like that. So when I got in and started filming, that was for Secondhand Smoke. But unfortunately,
and that's a classic video for you. Yeah.
But that's when Mike Ternansky, the owner of Plan B, and the guy who was, pretty much orchestrating the whole project, he passed away in a car accident right around that time in like 97?
Okay.
97, something like that. Well, actually, when Secondhand Smoke came out, he died before Secondhand Smoke came out. So, and that would have come out in like 95. So, yeah, the video released after he passed away.
And then after that, it was just
and then Danny and Colin had tried to keep Plan B going in his absence. And it's just too hard to be a pro skater and running a company at the same time.
Oh, yeah. You got to be
obligations,
one or the other.
and they were traveling the world and all that stuff. So eventually they had to just let it go. And again, we all had to find new places to go. So everyone found a new home, and I ended up riding for Element, which Chris Markovich was on Element at the time.
Wasn't Mike Frazier too?
Yeah,
Yep.
Mike Frazier was on it.
Yep.
They had a sick team already, and then Markovich had joined them. They were more of an underdog and underground company when Markovich joined them.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like they had a really solid video that came out, the Third Eye View, and then that kind of cemented them as like one of the best teams in skateboarding too. And then I ended up without Plan B being there. I didn't know which direction I wanted to go, and it didn't really seem like the best time to start my own brand back then, even though I could have, but it just seemed like more work than skateboarding.
Yeah, you can't do both. Dude, you can't be both. It's hard.
So I joined Element, figured they got the products and everything's good quality, and I'll just get plugged in there and do my thing, keep filming more video parts, which I did, and everything,
Let me ask you this before we get out of here. Yeah. Do you like running a company more or riding for a company more? Or skating, let's say.
I never wanted to run a company. I never wanted to be the owner or the boss and responsible for everything and just putting it all together. I love doing the artwork and I love getting it out there. I don't personally like being the one selling stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd rather plug my artwork in somewhere else and have someone else handle everything. And even if I'm just getting a little cut, that's more ideal than running the whole thing yourself.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
When Jonas and I had the opportunity to do it and just talked about it, like, why not? Like, it's time. Let's try it. And we did. And we started Ray Bros, and it's still going. And we started it back in, 2009. So it's been quite a few years that we've been doing it.
Yeah. Well,
so now, without Jonas being here, it's more of me handling a lot more by myself. And we have Pat Chinita with us, too. So now it's me and Pat bouncing ideas off and getting stuff going and promoting the brand. So, yeah, we'll see if we expand from there or where we go. But for now, it's an outlet where I can get my artwork out there still and ride stuff that I like and make sure the quality's good. Yeah. It's harder to get good quality stuff these days because a lot of the brands just don't really have skateboarders running them anymore. So they're more about getting product for cheap, selling it for as much as they can, and pleasing shareholders.
Yeah.
And
anytime you got to do that, you jeopardize a lot of your creativity and quality,
right?
Because they're just about profit, and then you're like, they're not really skaters,
Well, and that's also why I put our family name on it, because I'm going to make sure that product is as good as it can possibly be if it has my name on it.
Exactly. Anyone out there, get it, artwork. I'm sure you got T-shirts. I'm sure you got prints. You got boards. RayBros.com. Follow them on Instagram. Dude, I appreciate you coming here.
Yeah.
I really do. It means a lot to me. You're like one of the raddest dudes ever. We get to catch up on the podcast. Yeah. Anyone out there, subscribe. Like I said, follow him, what he's doing. Get a commission, bro. Have him draw a design for you. You do that, right?
Yeah. People need logos or designs. You can hit me up. I've done series for other brands, and
I love
whatever
that.
needs to be done. It's nice and easy.
I love it. All right,
I
listen.
love it.
Thanks a lot for coming out. Everyone else, thanks for watching, and stay rad.
Stay rad.
Everybody ready? Come on, let's go.